Welcome to another episode of The Evaluation Couch, the podcast where we talk about career growth and the field of evaluation. This is your host, Maria Montenegro. In 2024, I was very fortunate to represent my organization in the Evaluation Capacity Case Challenge hosted by the Maxwell School of Public Policy at McGill University. I worked for 4 months with the academics behind this program, and then the program actually funded for me to go to Montreal, where the case challenge took place. At the end of the program, I received 4 amazing evaluation capacity building plans, tailor-made for the department that I work in, to help us increase our ability to conduct and use high-quality evaluation. Participating in the Evaluation Capacity Case Challenge was a game changer for my career in many ways. So in this episode, I'm going to share what my experience was and how it has impacted my career after having some time to reflect upon it. First, I'm going to provide a bit of an overview around what the Evaluation Capacity Case Challenge is, because it is a relatively new program. This program started in 2023, and it is an experiential learning opportunity focused on evaluation capacity building. You may be familiar with evaluation case challenges, where a group of people, usually students, receive a fictional or a real program, and they're asked to develop an evaluation plan for a competition. The Evaluation Capacity Case Challenge is similar, except rather than asking people to develop evaluation plans, they develop plans to help an organization build their evaluation capacity. These plans are not focused on evaluating a specific program or a specific service, but it rather includes a set of initiatives and actions that the organization can take so that their organization is better equipped to conduct and use evaluations to improve the work they do. In our field, we're great at coming up with terms and then just pretending like everyone is going to understand what they are. I've recently been thinking about the term evaluation capacity building, and whether it's even clear, especially for other people that are not evaluators and also have to play a role in evaluation capacity building. So I do want to define this term, and you'll also find some useful links on the episode notes. Very briefly, when we say evaluation capacity building, we are referring to a plan and an intentional process of developing the knowledge, skills, the resources within an organization to conduct and use evaluations effectively. It's not only about teaching evaluation to a group of people or hiring 1 or 2 evaluators to do the work. It also focuses on creating a culture that values, that supports, that models the use of evaluation, and that does this in a sustained way. One of the reasons why I was drawn to the Evaluation Capacity Case Challenge and to learn more about evaluation capacity building is because I've been an internal evaluator for about 5 years. And even before that, I worked in consulting. I have witnessed many times how rigorous and high-quality evaluations are actually not used to inform decisions or improve programs. I have learned how important it is for the people engaged in the evaluation process to truly be bought in, to be very engaged, to understand the importance of the evaluation and the role that it plays in the work that they do, and to believe in it. I've also witnessed, especially working in healthcare, how it is very challenging sometimes to create this buy-in. We work in complex organizations, people have competing needs and demands, and adding evaluation as one other thing that they have to worry about can be challenging. So my main motivation for getting involved in the Evaluation Capacity Case Challenge came from this urge and this need and want to really see evaluations being used in my department and my organization. This program was designed and is led by academics that are recognized experts in this area, including Leslie Fierro, Isabel Bourgeois, and academics from the Evaluation Capacity Network at the University of Alberta. One thing I absolutely love about this program is that it accepts host organizations as well as participants from both Canada and the United States. It also is available for students as well as early career evaluators, which I think is extremely important because experiential learning opportunities for people once they're done school are very limited. So the way that the program works is that a group of participants are accepted to the program and they receive training as well as mentoring on evaluation capacity building for about 4 months. During this time, they're assigned to different teams. And in May, there is an in-person event in Montreal at McGill where all the teams come together. In parallel, organizations can also apply to be a host organization. The host organization is also there in Montreal. And this is when the teams receive a case challenge. The case challenge describes what the organization is aiming to aspire in terms of building their evaluation capacity. It describes what are the challenges the organization is facing and what is the vision and goal in terms of conducting and using evaluation. Then the teams are given 24 hours to develop a plan. The next day, everyone comes together and each team is given an opportunity to present. The judges deliberate and they pick a winner. And the winners receive a monetary incentive with the hopes that they actually use it to attend an evaluation conference the next year. In 2024, I was selected as the host organization for the Evaluation Capacity Case Challenge. I worked with the academics behind this program to develop the case challenge that all of the teams were provided during the main in-person event. There was a lot of work that went into developing this case challenge over 4 months. As part of developing the case challenge, they conducted an assessment on my department's evaluation capacity. In their assessment, they used a tool to measure evaluation capacity building that we adapted so that it fit our context, and they also conducted interviews with senior people in my department. We were also able to leverage another evaluation that my team was conducting at the moment, focusing on our knowledge translation efforts, because there's a lot of overlap between knowledge translation and evaluation capacity building. Another benefit of participating in this program was that I was given access to all of the trainings that the participants were receiving during those 4 months, and I was also able to share that across my organization. And these trainings were very valuable, high quality, and having the opportunity to share across the organization was something that I really appreciated. During the in-person event, I had the opportunity of going to Montreal, and this was such a neat experience, and I want to share about that experience because it was very interesting and very cool, and I have never been part of something like this. So when we arrived, we did an introduction and presented for the first time the final case challenge. Before this event, participants knew that my department was the host organization, but they didn't really know anything else other than who we were, that we work in healthcare, and nothing much else. In the in-person event, we shared in detail our final case challenge, including the opportunities for improvement, our vision for evaluation capacity building, the things that we're doing good at, and the things that we can improve. After we had presented the case challenge, all of the teams had 1 hour to get together and come up with questions that they could ask me or Leslie. We all got back together again and had a question and answer period that lasted about an hour. During this period, the intention and the thought was that participants were going to ask questions to me to clarify a bit about the context, the host organization, or needs, but then also leverage Leslie's expertise to talk about evaluation capacity building. And apparently that is what happened in the previous version of the program. However, for some reason, maybe related to the complexity of the organization I work with, all of the questions were directed to me. So for an entire hour, I was sitting in front of a group of people and just answering questions over and over again. And some of the questions were extremely thoughtful. Some of the questions were challenging. They were just great questions. So this was an interesting experience. It was also very draining, but it was fun. I've never done something like this. I kind of felt like I was in a talk show or something like that. After this hour ended, the 24 hours available for the teams to develop their case challenge started, and they all went along and worked in their little groups until the next day. The next day, the teams presented to us. I think they had about 15 minutes for their presentation. As the host organization, I was also invited to participate in the judging panel, and I had never been a judge before. So even just participating in this was a good learning experience for me. The other people in the panel were experienced evaluators working in different sectors with different years of experience. I learned a lot about how these decisions are made, the different considerations, and even how different judges interpret different criteria. Once we had selected a winner, we announced that, and we had a lovely celebration in a restaurant, and then everyone went home. But the work for me as a host organization didn't really end. I am the type of person that if I do something, I really want to see it through. If I attend a conference, I want the learning to actually happen and that I can bring impact and value to my work. participating in the Evaluation Capacity Case Challenge was no different. So the work didn't really end for me after Montreal. After the program, I received all of the 4 plans from the 4 different teams. Although we did pick a winner, they all had amazing initiatives and ideas. The final products exceeded my expectations in every single way. Over the last year, I have been working with my team to bring pieces of all of those plans into our own plan that we are in the process of implementing now. And this process involved aligning the amazing initiatives that the teams provided with what is happening in our department, the changes in our organization, what makes sense and what is actually feasible within the scope and the resources that we have, and also based on the priorities and what we're actually able to do with our current team. And I am so excited and looking forward to sharing more broadly the results and the evaluation of our plan once we implement all of the pieces behind it. Unfortunately, I can't share the entire plan here and now, but I can share that thanks to this plan, we've implemented initiatives we've never considered before that are already showing value in our work. 2 examples of this is a really easy one that we implemented right away was office hours. Every Thursday, we have an hour scheduled in everyone's calendars, and it works in a similar way than when professors in universities hold office hours, and students can drop in, ask questions, talk about the problems they're facing, seek for your support, etc. It's the same thing, but for evaluation. Anyone in the department can stop by and ask questions, seek support, ask for our input in evaluation tools, talk about new evaluation ideas and projects, etc. We have been implementing these office hours since the end of 2024, and they have been a success. Another initiative I'm just in the process of wrapping up is our first ever learning agenda with top priority questions that we need to learn from as a department to improve the work that we do. Those are just 2 of the many initiatives in our very comprehensive evaluation capacity building plan. So that is a summary of what the experience was and what the actual program and challenge was. This happened over the course of 4 months, from January to May in 2024. It's been a little bit over a year since the Evaluation Capacity Case Challenge ended in 2024. I have to admit that when I joined this program, I thought that I would get a few interesting suggestions that I could bring back to my team to improve the work we were doing, but I had no idea that I was going to end up with such a comprehensive plan with so many initiatives that I had never thought of that were intentionally designed to meet our needs. I also had no idea that this experience would play a pivotal role in my career, in how I see my career pathways and opportunities and in my interests. I think that there's no going back before and after this experience for me in terms of my evaluation practice and when I see my career going. So I want to share 4 reflections that I've gained from this experience. My first reflection is best explained with a metaphor that keeps coming back to my head whenever I think about the Evaluation Capacity Case Challenge and how I ended up as the host organization in it. The metaphor is sitting on a bench versus walking on a path. I think in our careers, every day we have a choice of sitting on the bench of our positions, doing what we've been assigned to do, doing what our job description says, completing our projects, doing really high quality work. But we can sit in and make the bench comfortable and continue to do what is expected of us. We can perform very highly, we can clock in and clock out, and we can keep things moving throughout our career. But we're also always going to come across emerging paths. And we always have to make a choice of whether to stand up from our bench and our comfortable position and follow our curiosity and explore those paths, or whether we're going to continue sitting in our comfortable spot. And the experience I had in the Evaluation Capacity Case Challenge really reminded me of how following that curiosity can lead to career opportunities that you don't even know are available to you. I want to go back to how I was even selected as the host organization for this program. In 2023, I was on LinkedIn and I came across a post about the Evaluation Capacity Case Challenge. Right away, I was super interested in it. I could tell that the experiential learning component of it and the topic was so relevant and would be so valuable for my career. But when I looked at the criteria to apply, I realized that I couldn't be a participant because they were mostly focusing on students and newly grads. When I saw the program, the first thing I thought of was, oh my God, this would have been so valuable to help me develop my competencies when I was starting to be an evaluator. And it's such a rare opportunity outside of university to have this type of experience. So ever since then, the program has been on my radar. At the end of 2023, I was again on LinkedIn and saw a post about them looking for host organizations. And I just clicked on it. It took me to a form and I decided to start answering the questions. I remember clearly that the process of applying to the program was very low effort and it actually felt like journaling. I appreciated the opportunity to take a break and reflect on what are the things that are working in my organization when it comes to our evaluation practice and our evaluation use. What are the things that are not working? And what is my vision? Like, what do I really think needs to happen for us to really embrace evaluation and use it to improve our work? Before I knew it, I had submitted the application. I didn't even have time to review my questions. I do have to give a caveat here that I have been leading evaluation work in my department for a couple of years. I actually started our whole evaluation team and practice. So I knew the answers to these questions really well because I've been part of our evaluation process from the get-go. Once I had applied, Leslie and Isabel reached out and wanted to have an interview and hear more about my organization. And then they let me know that they wanted to work with us as the host organization. One thing that I want to note about how I ended up in this place is that I didn't ask for permission to apply or to have these conversations until I was accepted and I knew more about the program. And I think that this is a very strategic move to participate in any sort of like extracurricular outside your work activities, programs, opportunities. My philosophy is that having options is always a benefit. By applying to a program, you're not committing to the program. You're just opening up the door to have an option to be in the program or not. And I also think that the best way to create buy-in and to get support from your leadership is to be clear about what you're getting into and what value you're going to receive. At the time when I saw the application form, I didn't really know what the evaluation capacity case challenge was, what was required from us in terms of resources, and what the benefit to us would be. So I needed to wait until I had this information before I made a case for it with my supervisor and my director. The reason why I wanted to share this is that oftentimes when I'm supporting people in their careers and there's opportunities that emerge that are similar to this, I often see people anticipating themselves and focusing on future problems before even making a decision or taking action. In my case, that could have looked like seeing the application form and saying, I don't know if my director is actually going to let me do this. Or I don't know if I'm going to have time from January to May 2024 to do this program. All of those are great considerations and questions to keep in mind and to inform the decision of whether to accept an opportunity. But they're not questions and problems that you should focus on before you even apply and are given the option of being in a program. The other thing that I would like to highlight here, I want to emphasize that although there are reasons why my application was selected, I don't think that I'm a unicorn. I think that having this type of opportunities is available to absolutely any of us. And oftentimes the deciding factor is whether you are pursuing your curiosity and following different paths, or whether you're deciding to always sit on your comfortable bench. My second reflection is about learning from academia. If you know about my path, you will know that I did not study evaluation when I was in university. I never took an academic course on evaluation. I was a self-made evaluator, and I had to figure out on my own how to become an evaluator, leveraging competency frameworks, learning on my own, and seeking specific trainings and experiences to develop the competencies that I needed. The Evaluation Capacity Case Challenge gave me an opportunity that I've never had before to work with academics in evaluation. Although I, of course, use evidence in my evaluation practice, I've never had the experience of working with evaluation theory, thinking about research and evaluation, and working with experts on the literature related to evaluation practice. I've also had a complicated relationship with academia. So the process of working with Isabel and Leslie started to shift the narratives that I had about what academia is. Their investment in using theory and evidence to create something meaningful for my team and to create a meaningful learning experience for the participants was something that I really appreciated and that I have not always seen in academic spaces. I really enjoy that they're really focused on the impact of their program. Before my experience working with them, when I would see conferences or publications on LinkedIn related to research on evaluation, I have to admit that it's not really a topic that interested me much or that I could see myself contributing to. But after this experience and working with them, that shifted as well. Now, I'm actually excited to publish the work that my team is doing in implementing our evaluation capacity building plan and all of the learnings that we've had along the way. This experience led me from being someone that really didn't consider any further studies to actually consider and even applying to a doctorate program in evaluation. If you would have told me before being part of this experience that I was going to apply in 2025 to an evaluation doctorate program, I would have not believed you. I would have thought that's never happening. But learning about evaluation capacity building, not just as a practice, but using concepts grounded in research and theory, really helped me gain confidence in the work I am doing. And it helped me see how the many things that we've done in my department over the last few years could actually contribute to the knowledge on evaluation capacity building more widely, and to see that I could contribute so much to the literature by sharing my experiences and my expertise. And this experience of working with academia motivated me to explore more intentionally the role that leadership and coaching play in building evaluation capacity, because I am bringing my coaching skills into my work and into the evaluation capacity building work as well. In fact, what I had written in my personal statement for my doctorate in evaluation application was all focused on evaluation capacity building. As I mentioned before, there's some aspects about this program that I really like because there's very few opportunities like this that bring people from the US and Canada, that bring people that are studying, but also those that are early in their careers. It brings people from a variety of different disciplines. In the program, you're exposed to very interesting and different perspectives. And I think seeing that running this program and this amazing initiative could be part of an academic's job also played a role in my increased interest in exploring academic-related pathways that I had never considered before. To sum up, working with academics in this program led me to shift how I see my career and the opportunities within it. And it also helped me uncover interests that I didn't know I had. In addition to all of the benefits that I got from my own career, my own skills, and then receiving these amazing plans, an aspect that I wasn't really expecting, but I ended up also benefiting from, was the networking and exposure to the judges, the coaches, the mentors, and the participants in this program. When I have attended evaluation conferences in the past, it's evident for me to see where there's little communities based on people's universities, and they know each other and they support each other, they connect. And I've never had something like this. At the American Evaluation Association conference in 2024, a lot of the people from the Evaluation Capacity Case Challenge attended the conference, and they organized a lunch where we got together. Even outside this lunch, just having people that I would run into the hallways and connected with felt really nice. And it has helped contribute to my sense of community within evaluation spaces, especially in the American Evaluation Association, since I don't live in the States and I've only attended the conference twice. In terms of value to my network, I have been exposed to and connected with on LinkedIn now people working in very different areas than me, and that has really increased my exposure to different perspectives and content. There were people working in libraries. There was someone doing amazing research on empathy and our evaluation practice, and so many other cool people around our region doing amazing work. My third reflection about this experience is around the validation and the pride that I got from an external assessment. I mentioned that as part of developing the case challenge, Leslie and Isabel conducted an assessment of my department's evaluation capacity to get a sense of our current state in terms of our evaluation practice and our evaluation capacity. For context, I was the first evaluator ever hired in my department. I was then promoted into a manager role where I designed the team that I now lead, including deciding which positions we were going to hire and the functions my team was going to provide to the rest of the department. So this assessment looked at individual people's capacity, understanding of evaluation, their knowledge to conduct evaluation, as well as our organization and culture. Because of the role I've played in evaluation in our department, I have to admit that sometimes it felt like someone was assessing my work and my team's work. And this was a very interesting experience for me. I have never been a part of an external evaluation. I've never been a participant in a program that is being evaluated, or at least not that I know of, or not that I have ever seen the results of. In our assessment, we identified both things that are working well and things that we needed to improve. Hearing positive feedback from someone external and someone who has spent many years studying evaluation capacity building felt very personal. I felt a sense of pride that I've never heard before when I heard them saying things like, wow, it's unusual to see an organization at this level of capacity. It was very powerful to share some of the quotes of that assessment with my team and see their reactions. And it was a nice way of celebrating the culture we have built. Because apparently I learned through this program that it's not a culture you see everywhere. In my department, you don't have to spend any time creating buy-in for evaluation. People are 100% bought into it and they know the value of it. Everyone understands what evaluation is, and they also understand there's different types of evaluation that meet different needs. And sometimes when you've been part of a team like this for a few years, it's easy to forget that this is not necessarily the norm. So hearing that external praise was very special. On a more personal level, this experience also made me realize the role that evaluation can have on building morale of a team and building a positive culture. And my last and fourth reflection is about what it really takes to building evaluation capacity. Before this program, whenever I would think about building capacity, I would mostly think about hosting a webinar, creating a toolkit, and I really had no idea that there's so many more pieces that are required for an organization to conduct and use evaluation effectively. Some of the areas that have made the biggest impact on me is understanding the importance of leadership and strategy in this work. The importance of creating a culture where evidence is valued and used, and the specifics of what type of initiatives can help us get there. I learned how important it is for leaders to role model the use of evidence, to celebrate it, to reward it, and to build processes and tools that promote that culture. The key takeaway from learning about all the different pieces that play a role in building evaluation capacity for me is that we don't thrive if we just work in isolation. We need to embed ourselves into how our organizations are already working. There are so many overlaps between building evaluation capacity, change management, building psychological safety. And seeing those overlaps made me realize that if we leverage those initiatives and efforts, we can create so much more buy-in for this type of work. In addition to this, thanks to this experience, I can now actually talk about evaluation capacity building as a skill that I have and that I understand in depth. I can include it in my resume, and I can provide specific examples of evaluation capacity building initiatives that I have led. After the Evaluation Capacity Case Challenge, I was invited to be a judge for a grant program focused on evaluation capacity building. This was another neat experience that gave me valuable insights from the grantee perspective that I hadn't had before. Plus, it helped me develop connections with a really cool organization that is prioritizing evaluation capacity within healthcare. As you can see from my reflections, there are so many things that have happened from my participation in this one program. The main reason why I wanted to share these reflections is to showcase the different roles that this experience has played in my evaluation practice, my impact at work, and my career opportunities. All of this started because I decided to take action and I applied to a program on a random day that I was scrolling on LinkedIn. When I was applying, I had no idea of all the benefits this experience would bring to my career. If there's one thing I would like you to take away from this episode is that this is available to you as well. I encourage you over the upcoming days to ask yourself, how often are you choosing to stay on your bench? How often are you choosing to not explore paths and opportunities that are coming your way? And if you're constantly choosing to not explore those paths, ask yourself, what opportunities might you be missing out on?